Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hopefully everybody is doing okay. It does look like it's on my side correctly. Give everybody a second to catch up here. I know we've got some folks already in-house. I'm actually going to try and get questions if anybody has them, go straight into questions today. I had originally planned on having Dom on. He had a family thing that he was planned that he forgot about, so we're going to reschedule that for those who asked questions and saw the original post. Everything's fine. Dom's fine. He just had something to do, so no big deal. We'll get to some questions in just a second here, though. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything else like that, you can slam on those. Making sure everybody can hear me. The biggest interesting fact and something I'm waiting for is I think February 23rd, eBay releases fourth quarter numbers. That's going to tell us everything. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm not going to bop back into eBay too much today at all. What happens, happens. Numbers, again, will dictate some of our stuff. We have stuff going on behind the scenes. I've talked to a lot of people lately about some things we've been looking into. So if you're in Patreon, the video that went up today, anybody in Patreon, you're going to want to watch this one here. This one's going to give you a whole new direction on some things. And it'll be something that's probably a surprise to 99% of the folks in Patreon. So just FYI, money-making way. Nothing is going to be a get-rich-quick scheme. It's all, you got to put work in, but you'll get some returns back out of it. That's the topic. Again, that's the second part. Next video for that will be actually how to do it, step by step. Again, it'll be easy. You'll see no content. It's really simpleton stuff, but that's Patreon. One of these days, I think it's Saturday, I've got something different rolling out here where you're going to see a whole bunch of different little smaller clips on stuff. I think that's what we're doing Saturday. Guidebook, again, I've been still fielding some things with our guidebook. That is still, I promise you, in the works. It won't be that far off at this point. I want to have all my ducks in the row. I want to make sure everything is there. It's not so much... It's all going to be detailed information. It's going to talk about specifics, ways to tell and distinguish value on a lot of the stuff that I sell is basically what it's going to be. It's going to give you some shortcuts in there. There's a lot of pages in it. It's taken us a lot of time, of effort. The wife helped edit it. Kids took some of the photos in there. Some of the scans as well were done by some employees here. So there's a lot of different things that went together to put that into the form that you will see it once it is out. Those in Patreon, I already told you what it's going to be, the form, the format, and obviously Patrons, you'll see it before everybody else, at least a good week ahead of time. It'll be available in hardbound and all that kind of stuff, but it's more an educational piece. It's not just going to say, hey, always buy this. It's going to help you identify and figure out how I get prices, how you figure out all that kind of stuff. It's going to go into a lot of detail and pretty much paper and militaria. There'll be toys. It's a lot of stuff in there. I've spent some time on it. It's more just a bunch of information that's sortable, basically. You'll be able to pick and choose. There's an index in there that covers what's in it and the whole works. So it should be very helpful, I would say. I wished I had one is the biggest thing that I wish. But obviously, putting one together, off we go from there. But anyway, I see we have Duncan in the house. Still work for me as 100 following. I have a Queen Victoria cover 1861 go for 99 cents start to 300. He's talking about auctions and some of the stuff he sells. I love postal stuff, but lately I've been just stockpiling it like mad. I've got massive... I love stamps. That's another area that's just an incredible area for us. It's something that'll take you some time to know, like, the ins and outs of that one, like a long time. That's probably one of the hardest ones to learn, I would say, is early stamps, how to track and get them down and value-wise, and variations and die colors and die issues. Man, there's one stamp that there could be a stamp out. Well, there are some of the 2-cent rows in Washington and stuff. There's one look of a stamp, and there's like 40 different versions of it, and only a couple are worth anything. And if you don't know enough or don't dig into it, man, there's a lot of stuff goes on in stamps. Beta testing bulk listing tools, schedule item. I don't do any of their bulk. I liked Mr. Lister and a few of the other ones that they had in the past. I used Mr. Lister all the time. It was a app, and you could bulk edit, bulk upload, and it was really quick because you were just typing titles and prices and then whomping on the photos and stuff. That's in the old days when you had to have your own IMG and SRC. You had to know some HTML to get your images in. If folks don't know, back when we first started, eBay had no space to store your images, so they were all pulled from where you stored them at. So you had to literally do HTML code enough to do the images and stuff. You had to do them for the sound clips when you could put sound clips. Back then, I used to put a lot of sound clips, first 20 seconds of the records that we were selling, and of each side. 15, 20 seconds. It took a few extra minutes, obviously, but back then, man, you could sell them for real good money if people would hear them, because no one else did that. So we did the sound clips on 45s, the more expensive ones, 50 or more. We would do a sound clip on the beginning up there. But hey, Artie, Mike, how are you doing? It looks like everything is going good on this end. Let me pop down a little bit here. Paul the Picker, how are you doing? Well, good to have you in, first live show here. I usually just yap. I know I probably drive some people crazy. Hey, Artie, Mike, if I didn't say hey, hope you're doing well. I saw you had some posts on there too. Oh, for those who posted on the community tab in Patreon, I responded to everything. There was a couple, I think maybe Josh, I think that needed, I needed some more information back on. I think there was a couple I responded to. I hit everybody's email as well too. I will be in and out tomorrow. The wife has an appointment, and then I've got conference calls in the morning and video conference calls in the evening too. We're working on some stuff in the background here, and I'm talking to some other sellers. I've talked to a couple of real big ones. I'm talking to a couple of real good guys tomorrow evening, and then I've got another one after that around 8. So anyway, it's been a busy week. Marty, hey Marty, Jiminy Flip It, another fellow YouTuber out there. Good to see you in, Marty. If it flips, it ships. Stock is crashing. Who would have guessed? I've been following eBay's stock closely because obviously the fourth quarter's coming out, just to see if somebody already knows. If it starts to just flag down right before the announcement, you know somebody spilled the beans somewhere and people are trying to get out before it might be a hit in financials. Several companies took some big hits recently. PayPal. Dom's got a video on that one. What's the other one that Facebook, Meta, whatever he wants to call it now. But I see some other things happening too. So I've been paying attention to that. Even if you're just a reseller, I would honestly keep track on some of that stuff because it does play into what's going on in the site that you are dealing with. So it's always good to know if they're up or down, how much traffic they're getting. Are they selling more volume of merchandise? If they sell less volume in fourth quarter than they did in third quarter of last year, that's not a good sign. If it's like a year over last, let's say they sold more in fourth quarter of 2021 than they did in 2020, more merchandise. We're not talking about revenue, we're talking about merchandise. That would be at least some good sign. Even if it's only up 0.5%, any increase would be good for what I see on it. But anyway, you know what Amazon's doing, and they had the same challenges as eBay did with the pandemic and all that. So Matt Jack, how are you doing? Hello as well. Hey Michelle, how are you doing, Michelle? Hopefully you're doing well. Rocking it there too. Yeah, sales wise, I had a lot of people ask on sales. I know some people said they just died off. I think it's going to come down to right this minute what you're selling. Today was a little slower than it had been, but I wasn't worried about 1 or 2 days. It's the day. Tomorrow's Friday. There's storms coming in today on many different sections, all the way down to the coast. It's dropping 40 plus degrees down in the Gulf of Mexico. Tonight here we went from, it was 45 in the early morning. All the snow had melted, and we had like inches, a foot maybe or better snow, maybe 16 inches total on the ground. That all melted. And then it started to freeze, and now it's all like frozen ice on the bottom, and now we had slush coming down, frozen rain, and now it's hardening on the top. It's going to be down to like 8. So a lot of people were out shopping today. I expected to be slow. Pay attention to stuff like that. A lot of people may miss that and think, oh man, what's happening? I just died off. Everybody's at the store. I'm going to tell you for sure, just in case it gets bad, they cancel stuff. It's going into the weekend. No one's going to wait till tomorrow and hope that the roads are clear and everything else. So I think the stores are packed. Well, I know the stores are packed. I'll put it that way. So that's just my take. Today should be slow. Tomorrow morning probably a little slower, but I think it'll take up in the weekend and Friday night. That's usually what I see. And you can, if you've been on a year or more, compare last year's numbers. How busy were you? Keep track of that. Write the numbers down. How much are you selling? Your starting inventory number. How many listings do you have in the morning? How many do you have at night? That routine should be every single day. How many did I sell? Did I sell more in the morning? Was it slow? When you work for somebody like a restaurant or retail, any kind of business, you have a logbook in the office. The supervisors always write in. The general manager, managers in the store, whatever position it may be titled, all the same thing. But you would write down weather issues, this happened, that happened. So if something happens later on, you can always go back and look at the logbook. Well, you can type that in online. You can database it. You can throw it in an Excel spreadsheet, and then save them year by year, link them together at the end, and you can kind of look from year to year and just kind of easily see with a workbook. Excel works great for stuff like that. Atlas Attic, how are you doing? Yeah, I did hit you back too, just FYI. I did see that you answered as well too. I was on for a little while today. I had some things and some conversations going, and I've been talking to several different people on here. Mutton Ridge, how are you doing? Mutton Ridge Finds. How are you doing, Resell Nerd? Danielle, hopefully you're doing well. I hit you back too as well. Video again, those Patreon, the video today I think will be an eye-opener. I think you should watch that. I think that'll be an exciting video for quite a few people in there, because I don't think people are relating the first part of the video to what's coming next. So, Better Barbie, how are you doing? Good to have you in-house. Maybe that's your name, or maybe you sell Barbies. That's hard to say. I know people that just sell Barbies. The wife used to mess with lots of Barbies too, so she's the doll person in the house, obviously. Hey, Duncan Scott, I hear many sellers have dried up with my stuff. There is no slowdown. Yeah, slowdown wise, again, it depends on what you're selling. I will stick by that. If you sell certain items, the people who buy those items, they always have to have extra money to buy them in the first place. Most of what I sell, nobody needs. 99% of what I sell, nobody needs any of it. It's not going to do anybody, maybe a professor or something. I do sell to people at colleges, but that's about it. The other people who are buying it for historical, a family item, a memento, like 90 some odd percent of everything I sell. So it's not like they need a shirt, they need this, and they're using the money that they have to buy something. If you sell certain items, you're going to have a far better shot at not getting that drop off. And I think a lot of people, if you haven't sold the other stuff, the stuff we do and stamps and stuff like Duncan and stuff, you may be missing that aspect. It's still fourth quarter numbers. I swear to you right now, our numbers are still just as if it was December, 2 weeks before Christmas, and sales were rocking. It's the same basic thing going on. A little slow one day, the next day it could be 400 up, 500 up from the prior day. I don't look at those numbers. I do I project what we're going to do. I'll do an average daily count versus the amount of days left. I've shown how to do that in videos. You'll get a good judge on if your numbers are going up, if they're going down. You type them into a spreadsheet. You look at them on a daily basis. That's what a business should do. You'll see if you're gaining ground, you're losing it immediately. I can check anytime, day or night. I could check 10 times a day if I'm going up to see. And sometimes if it's not going up, I run a sale. I might do a higher sale. If the numbers are looking really good, I might drop the sale down or even turn off a couple of them and only run one on a quarter of the store or 5% of the store or something. Use the numbers to dictate what you do. So if the sales are coming in, I drop off the sales. I mean, if I'm selling stuff, I'll lower or get rid of some sales. The sales and markdown, I should say. It does work. You get higher value for your items. You still have the people coming in because it takes a little while to rotate out anyway. And if it starts to slow down again, pop the sale back on. It only takes a little while for you to start a sale. In all honesty, I've been playing with the sales more than anything else lately. I've been changing up the times by a couple hours. I've been letting them end at specific times so I have a little more time to mess with them. I've been messing up and down with 5%, 2%, 10% differences in the sales and markdown. And I think the sales get me far more, my sales and markdown get me far more on some issues than self-similar. I've been messing around with when I do self-similars. It seems to work best on Monday mornings, doing more on a Monday versus doing a larger quantity on a Friday. The weekend's pretty much set from the way it looks, so I run the sales I start a sale on Friday night. It ends on Monday, or Friday afternoon I started. But anyway, if you do all that, I get so many people saying that those actually help, rotating it. Don't ever do a sale for more than 3 days at a time. 3 days is pushing it unless it's over the weekend. That's the only thing I would say. Again, we've tried the 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, and just keep it going that way too, and don't pay attention to the day of the week. But I think literally staggering it for the weekend when there's more people on and running the sales a little larger on the weekend gets you more attention. One more thing too I noticed. I've told people this, but I should probably video it just so people can see it. If you go to send out offers to watchers, we had just done some. We were piddling around, and it had been like 50 or 60 minutes, so I went back over. I always have that screen open. I've got one open right now. And I went over to see if I had any more opportunities to send offers to watchers. I had 22. So I was just about to do them. One of the kids called me upstairs. He was working on something for us, so I stopped what I was doing, and I probably didn't get back down for 45 or 50 minutes. When I came back down, there was only 13 I could send offers to watchers to. So in that time, that's 9 I lost in 45 minutes that I couldn't send out anymore. They were clearly there at a refresh screen. I had 22. Boom, I lost 9 of them just by not sending them out. If you don't send them out on a routine basis, you can lose them. Somebody else will send some offers to those people before you have the opportunity, and eBay only allows watchers to get so many of those, so they're not irritated by constantly having offers to watchers pop in like left and right. If the people scan and are on eBay a lot and they look at a ton of different listings, they do it like all the time, they probably get a bunch of them, so they probably back off and have limits and all that on it. I don't have a problem with that. I think that would be best, because I'd be annoyed if they were constantly sending me crap like that. Hey, Hudson Resell, how are you doing? Good evening as well. Post Road Photos, good evening, Connecticut. I've been up to Connecticut before. We drove all through New England, very lovely. Hey, Candace Hammer in the house. Good evening. Got Matt Jack already. Charles, hey, how are you doing, Charles? Mr. Lowe. Yeah, somebody said if it flips, it ships one. 6 months on eBay. You got to start somewhere. Everybody had 0 listings at one time. Everybody has the same. I won't say the same. Some of it depends on where you live, what's around you. I've sourced in the South. I've sourced all the way out to California before. I spent some time in Nevada, Las Vegas, Phoenix area a couple of times. Dallas, we sourced all over through Dallas, Houston, Austin. I worked in Dallas on and off, filling in for some training for HAZUP when I worked at processing with the USDA. Just something I did. But anyway, I've sourced all over. I sourced in New England. That was awesome. Ohio, Michigan, all the way down through the Smokies, Kentucky, Louisiana, all across the coast, Alabama, Montgomery we used to source in, quite a few places down there. Decatur, there was a little shop in Decatur, Alabama we used to go to. Meridian, Mississippi, all the way across. Most places I've been, I could find something. It wasn't the same thing in every place I went. When I lived in Meridian, Mississippi, we did phenomenal in records and media type items. There was multiple movie theaters that went under, and I was able to buy out what was in the attic, and it was reels of like feature films in 35 millimeter from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and I did it like 4 different times. And then I tracked down the owner of a drive-in theater. There was 2 or 3 out there. One of them they still kind of use sometimes, but I tracked down the owner, and I was able to buy the equipment out of one of those 2. The cameras or projectors, reels, film, man, a lot of stuff on that. Posters, I love the posters too. But Black Crystal Dice, how you doing? Greetings to you as well. Caleb Stone. Here's a question coming up. Don, are you having problems with the items you have sent offers for? It will not let me adjust quantity on an item if I have sent an offer on the item. It always let me before. I think that's just something that they're instigating now. If you do a lot of offers to watchers and you mess around a lot with like self-similar and you're running auctions and stuff, you're going to run into somewhere you don't want something on sale, and you're going to have to dig into some of that as well too. When, like, if something's on sale, you can't just end it and you can't alter it if there's a conversation going on. Let's say somebody gave you an offer for you've got a multi-quantity listing of say 6, and somebody put in an offer for 6. You can't touch the title of that. You can't mess with the price. You can't mess with the item quantity either, because you've got a pending deal potentially. If you change it before he gets it, his offer is still out there, so he could accept it and you could screw around. That's why when something's sold and you've got multi quantity, there's certain things you can't change for a certain time frame, to make sure that people aren't selling somebody something and then changing it and saying, well, that's what you bought. You bought something else. I'm sure that used to happen. I don't remember it personally happening, but I'm sure back in the wild days when eBay was just starting out. Yeah, I don't pay much attention to those. If it's on sale or I've got any offers pending or anything else like that, you can't change much. Whatever they change or add to it, that's fine. If I've got the offer in, I just let it sit until it expires. You can go in sometimes with a valid reason, though, and you can retract your offer if you didn't know that. So you'll have to go into the listing on, I think literally it's either I don't remember what it says. On the left side when you're in the hub and you're looking at your items page, what does it say? I can't remember what it says, but I'm sure most people understand where I'm talking about. You can go in there and do it that way. You can look at the offer history, I think maybe it's called. And then you can retract one. Once or twice I've had a sale that I wanted to end real quick. I don't remember what the deal was, but I had to do a couple other things, and I declined a couple offers, and I had to go back in and retract something just to clear it up so I wouldn't have anything holding a listing up. So, my take. Charles, let's talk Christmas 2022. I've already done Christmas 2022 in end of October of last year. So just FYI, we're already behind if you're talking 2022 Christmas, in all honesty. We try to plan what we want to do for Christmas if we're going to invest in, multi-dollar, thousands of dollars or thousands of items in inventory ahead of time, because the price is always cheaper. If you've ever been to a toy show, anybody who's ever been to like what are they, like new product show downtown in your area at like a convention center or something else like that, a lot of those products may not even hit the market for like 16, 18 months. And you'll put in pre-orders, and that'll dictate, if they get a bunch of pre-orders, they can get them cheaper, and that'll dictate prices and stuff like that too. So if you go to those, they're working 16 months out. When I worked at Disney, like the toy buyers and stuff, they would buy stuff massive quantities, but months in advance because of production time. If they've got a new like design or a new toy line coming out, they're going to have printed material. They're going to have mock-ups they use to print that up, like any toy does, like the prototypes and stuff, and it'll look just like the finished product. And basically they shop those around at like a toy fair. And from there, they hope to get the orders. They get the orders, then they can rush out and produce the molds for, if they're figures, they're going to get, injection molds cast. The CNC work alone costs a fortune on some of those. That's it. The mold is all the money. To stamp out the toys is nothing comparatively. So they got to do it well in advance, because that process, even today, in today's age, you got to digitize the images and send them to, might be a lathe and CNCs and all kinds of crap to get them in production. Then you've got to think how long it takes to produce an order of 5 million of something for, say, Disney or something. So it's all done months in advance. So if you want to get wholesale deals for Christmas, you've got to do them at least a year in advance, especially if it's Christmas-oriented items, because everybody is trying to get the latest item for next year's Christmas. If something comes out and it's some new thing with Wi-Fi for your phone and it can do some spectacular thing for Christmas decorations, that's going to be what's hot next year. And they know, all the major buyers know that a year in advance usually, sometimes 2 years in advance. Sometimes if they wanted to be in on it, they had to do their order ahead of time, pre-order it, with confirmed so much down in advance, or a letter of guarantee from the bank stating, the cost is covered. They're going to buy it no matter what. They can't back out. It's a legal binding agreement. Yeah, I know I went off on a tangent. That's Christmas, though. It's always done ahead of time, way ahead of time. Char Opper, how are you doing? Purple Rain, there's the Prince reference. Let's Go Crazy, I think, would be more fun today. I think that would be more fitting to what goes on these days. Rock and Roll Resale. I might have been 60 seconds late, I think. I'm usually pretty good on it. At least I try. If it's not within 5 minutes, 5 after, something's wrong, I can tell you for sure. Because I've only missed, I think, in going on 4 years now on here, I think I've only missed maybe 2 shows. I think we had an emergency on one, and I was sick as a dog on another one. I think I've missed 2, maybe 3 if I was out of town. But I think that third one, I said I might not have a live show, I think, ahead of time. Jeff Loftus, how are you doing? Good evening. Good evening. RV Butterfly, welcome, welcome. Veterans Mercantile. Howdy. Don's fine. You don't have to add a mister in there. That's fine. I'm not big on surnames or anything like that. When I was an altar boy or something, I think we always used, especially if we did like a wedding or something like that. Nicholas Tracy, how are you doing? Good to see you. Let's see here. Reseller and Danielle. Not sure if you've talked much about free returns for the 10% final fee reduction. I've been looking into that more closely lately with a lot of my inferior that I think has pretty low potential for issue. I've had free returns, 30-day free returns for, 6 years straight. No, I've never turned it off since. I've never had any issues. You do get a break. There are some things if you do a 30-day free return. And I don't care what anybody else says. It's in there in the guide. I've read it. I get those benefits. But you've got to follow all the rules if you want to. I personally do free returns. If I mess something up, it's about the only reason, not just me, but someone here, and it's my fault if it's anybody here. It's my responsibility. If I mess something up, I offer them to the world if it's my fault, So I very rarely have anything, any issues. I had somebody open a return and state that somebody did something to the cart or something, or it was missing parts or something, and the person just didn't look at the detailed description and look at the photos, which were clearly there. They said they were going to open up a return. I haven't heard them send it back yet, but eBay now gives them like 30 days to send the item back. So it's actually like a 60-day return. Whatever, I make enough up to, even if I never get it back or whatever, who cares at this point. They opened up the return. Even if they never do or send it back, they can't leave me bad feedback about it. And that's in the user agreement as well, word for word, for those who don't know that. But yeah, I don't really worry about that, Danielle, on the free returns. There might be 1 or 2 items in our store that are heavy that I won't do it on, but I think it's on most everything up to like 4 pounds we do free returns. That does not go for overseas, though. We don't do free returns on overseas items. If they send it back, they'll get the rest of their money back. They'll have to pay to have it returned, but that's about it. If it was broken or damaged in one of eBay's international options, it's on eBay then. As long as it gets to their facility, eBay's facility, here in the U.S., if it gets lost or damaged from there on out, eBay's supposed to reimburse us as well as the person. I'm not going to lose any money, and they're supposed to take care of the person who was the buyer of those items. That's what it states in there, and I've never had a buyer come back and say eBay didn't fix it or didn't make it right. I know, like the global shipping program, eBay's global shipping program is expensive for the buyer, but it includes VAT and all that other junk in there, which no matter what, a lot of the ways that we're sending overseas, VAT is collected somewhere, and those buyers sure as heck know it. So don't ever let anybody try and get you to bypass the taxes or lie about what's in the package. If it was bought off eBay and the governments can see exactly what you're sending out, even if you change it, it's tied back to your listing. Don't be stupid. the best part, I think, especially for those that are new about selling and making the revenue online, it's all tracked. So you can show, hey, yeah, this is what I got. This is it. It's here. It's right here on the site. I can just print off the report. This time of year, there's a lot of people are having issues and hadn't done taxes before and all worried about and how to do this and how to do that. It's almost too late to fix some of that. I can't. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a legal expert, and I'm not going to tell you, hey, it's not my. I can't put myself into those spots, but. The easier, the better for most people. What I would just say, I worked for businesses and we had to do it manually because there was no option. So I learned the hard way over a long period of time. There's other folks who worked in restaurants and retail in here. I know for sure, as I see a couple name that I've talked to. For some reason, a lot of resellers that I know were managers at restaurants and retail establishments. I did both. So, I think there's the business mentality. You've ran something, you understand it with a lot of employees and a lot of money. It just makes sense. The title of this is Addicted to Reselling. This all makes complete sense to me, and it has for I was the guy going to flea markets when flea markets weren't cool. I was the kid at 6 and 7 drugged to garage sales because my mom didn't have a babysitter. My father worked all day, and the garage sales were in the summertime up here on Wednesdays. You had to go early, so I was forced to get up and when I didn't have school and stuff and do stuff like that. So I grew up on it. I seriously love reselling. Even if it wasn't a business, I'd still have stuff up. I like doing it. I'm truthfully, I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't resell or I was, unable to, because I'm literally, I love doing it. First thing I do in the mornings before I even eat breakfast, I've got a laptop, a computer on somewhere, and I'm checking the numbers, seeing what's came in, any messages I need to, if somebody can work, can't work. What do I got to set up before I go to bed? I'm writing down numbers, looking at, final. Can I send out a couple more offers to watchers at the last minute before I go to bed? My dog was just down here and I've got hair, I'm sure, floating around. I always got to pet her. Hey, Trina, how are you doing? You're welcome anytime, as you know, Trina. Never try to get anybody to do anything they can or don't want to. Hudson Resales filled out my e-commerce bite survey. Well, thank you. I know she's gotten a lot of responses. I heard from her the day before, and she was giving me some preliminaries. I don't know anybody's email address. I know that was a comment on one of the posts that she has or her article. They don't exchange any of that. That's none of my business. I just want the data. And then that's exactly what it was too. So I know there was a lot of people that filled it out. I mean, the numbers, she said she couldn't have been happier. So I was really happy to have that go so well for her. I was interested in those numbers. Some of those questions were straight out of things that I've been asked over and over again. I want to know, and I think a lot of the results on there can help us answer some things. I want to break them down on I wish that they wouldn't run around my feet, but I want to break it down from my thoughts, my views of where the market is. I hear from people all the time. Constantly people send me very personal stuff on business and stuff, and I guess people feel they trust my judgment on some things, because I'm always kind of weirded sometimes that people offer an inside view of their stuff, but again, it's all business. I want to see if some of my thoughts on that were right, some of the questions, So anyway, that'll be out shortly, I'll imagine, too. I know David will aggregate it and put it together and all that stuff, and I'll get the raw data is what I want. How many this, how many that. Nicholas Tracy, listing all day, shipping all day, and at the storage unit right now. Haha. We're gonna buy something, I think, is what we're doing with a warehouse or something, or a big huge barn that I can convert, something with a cement slabbed floor and that can be insulated if it's not, with enough space to drive big vehicles in and pallets and stuff just in case. I'm not one. I always hated the storage unit stuff. Just for me, because most of the ones where I live, like here, you're not supposed to run business out of them, and I don't want to run into a foul. I know some local folks here that are higher up in legal wise, and I don't want any issues with people that associate with me. Hey, aloha. Well, welcome. Thank you very kindly. NC Treasure Hunter and Lotto Scratcher. Hey, how you doing? Interesting, good name. If it flips, it chips. You're in southern Michigan. I've got guys that go all the way up to well past Saginaw, if that gives you any idea on the range of stuff. I personally know somebody who's at every flea market in Detroit, and the one by the airport. I'm sure you probably know which one I'm talking about, but I've hit them all up there. We've done the strip, the antiques, all the way up to Frankenmuth myself. I've been up that far. Not that that's that far, but we go up past Gaylord and in that area, hit all those little town, little tiny dink stores, local shops and stuff. Kelly 207 Surf Dude. I've been trying to upload photos for an hour. No luck. Yes, tried clearing my cache, restarted computer, internet connection, etc. I think eBay is glitchy. There's a eBay down report. You can always check that out and see if anybody else is having an issue. I would check another browser as well too, would be my guess. I would also make sure that did you say you checked everything was updated? If what is today? There was an update last night. So if your computer was off last night and you have Microsoft, you're using Windows, there's a Tuesday night a download every single Tuesday night. It's why you should always leave your computer on Tuesday nights. Monday through Tuesday. It happens early in the morning on Tuesday, but there's an update. And if you don't, again, I make sure any ones that are turned off are updated in the morning usually. That's one of the things when it's like 5:30 in the morning, no one else is around, I'm just running and flicking on, restart, and everything else. You might want to check that because when stuff's updated, sometimes there could be some security issue or one single line of code or one script change or something, and it might say something's unsafe because you don't have the latest version. I'm not saying that's what it is with you, but I've seen that exact thing where photos wouldn't load from somebody else, and it was exactly what I said. I don't know your case, but I am always adamant to make sure that everything's updated to the latest, whatever it is. Just one of those things I always do. I also would always recommend using Malwarebytes as well too, if you don't know what that is, and scanning that like once a week at the bare bones minimum, even if you just do the free version of it without the live. But anyway, I would recommend doing that too, as I said, once a week. I've got a Safety Plus. I've got a Net Plus. I've got the networking certs and all, but I would honestly recommend doing those. Just everybody, especially if you work and your business is on there. We have insurance too, so if something would happen, electronic wise, or God forbid a hack or something, it's supposed to cover all that. I pay for it. Hopefully it works. Gutted 08. Had a lot of my listings changed to free shipping. Now I hear that all the time. If you do them from the phone, from what I understand, it's always set to free shipping when you list from your phone. I don't use the phone to list, so I don't really. I hate their app, other than researching prices if I'm out or something. But if you do them from your phone, you always have to go back in and check to make sure. Even if you think you're doing them and you don't check them, I've heard that from I don't know how many people. But I have heard that they were changing regular listings to free shipping, and when the seller called, they said they did it to hopefully help them sell more items because they felt they would do better that way. If it's our store, they should just leave it alone. If we don't work for them, why would they come in and touch our stuff? That's my opinion. If they're touching our stuff, we should be able to, collect hourly pay if that's what they're going to do it, because they're not treating it like it's our stuff anymore. They're treating it like it's their stuff, and they have the right to do whatever they want to our stuff. That sounds more like I'm an employee than someone as a third party. So I don't go for that. The one time it happened to us on something, they actually created a category because I use business policies. I know there wasn't a free one at that point. So I knew they did it, and they denied it on the phone. It was basically, as always, it's your fault, you did it, and I know I didn't do it. Because when I create my business policies, I title them. Everyone's titled, and when I save them, they're titled a specific way. So anybody here in this whole building knows which one goes for what and why. I put in details. If the item's over this weight, it has to do this, 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 this. So when one shows up free, free shipping, I know it's not mine. So I don't care what they said. Either they were ignorant, weren't told, or were plain out lying on that. I know for a fact I don't do free shipping on the stuff that's sold. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Stardust Memories, not sure. I've seen and messed with a few online auctions, like live auctions. I think is liveauctions.net or .com, whatever that one's called. I've just got them saved up here. I don't give it much mind. I just click on the link. Like somebody asked me directions the other day for somewhere, and I couldn't tell them the names of the streets. I could just tell them you turned at this building here that used to be it was a restaurant or something, and I couldn't even think of the name of the restaurant, but an old timer around here knew what I was talking about. I don't pay attention to the roads, streets. I can get anywhere in town. I just don't pay much attention to the names of the streets anymore. Linda, how you doing, Linda? Linda Barnum. David Varner, how you doing? Veterans Mercantile. I love stamps. I have so many. There's three sites to sell stamps. 4 if you want to include Amazon, because you can sell stamps on Amazon. I've got some, I think, still up in the collectibles section on Amazon. You got to be on Gated to get in collectibles, but you can always list them as wall art. I know people that frame them, though. They've got one of those little mat cutters, so they can frame them and everything and mat them up real like a business style, and they can sell them that way on Amazon too. They get pretty good money from what I've seen. But you've got Del Camp, you've got Hip Stamp, and then you've got eBay easily all day long. And like Del Camp, you probably sell more stamps possibly there than you would on eBay. There's more on the internet there, I think. It's like the difference. Del Camps is like the Discogs of stamps. Discogs has more records than eBay any day of the week. It's like 6-to-1 or some ratio, I think, last time I looked. It's the same basic principle there. Postcards, Hip Postcards is gaining ground on eBay. They had some issues with the sync. I had somebody reach out to me today on Patreon. I did respond. I don't want to call it names, but Patreon had some sync. It's like the second time it happens. And I think there's some point when your listings on eBay aren't immediately rolling over, and I think that's when it always seems to happen. Because I had where my listing numbers were all over the place, up and down, hundreds and hundreds of numbers within a few seconds. And that's the next day on Hip, I was missing 5,000 listings that weren't direct syncing. It looks like they fixed it already. They were going to cut the whole feed and re-feed it back on in. Apparently they had other people who had similar issues. I really think it's eBay, and I think when that stuff happens, when they go down there and the listings don't get immediately listed, and then it cuts them off on other direct syncs, I personally think that's where the listings are disappearing. I don't think eBay is intentionally losing listings. I think if you do sell similar, sometimes it'll say have an error. If you forget and don't pay attention to that and click, that listing's gone. You won't know which one you had the error, which one you didn't. You'd have to go back in and try and list them all again and hope that it didn't bypass the duplicate listing thing, and you might have accidentally listed some twice. That could happen too, especially if you change prices and you don't remember which way you change prices on which ones. That could affect it too. Let's see here. All those stamp sites are good though, Veterans Mercantile. I would do all 3 if it was me. Matt Jack, Mr. Lister was one of the best apps that eBay had for listing quickly in bulk. It worked very well. They did a Turbo Lister was the other one we used. I think it was Mr. Lister first, and then I think Turbo Lister was after it, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think they had maybe even a second version of Turbo Lister for a while. I stopped using them when I started messing with the CSV files and stuff, because it's comma delineated. You can just upload them from just a Word or a Excel, Microsoft Excel sheet, and just save the photos and drop the links in there is all. Um, where are we at? I would instantly change them back. I would make sure that you have business policies set up for shipping so you can instantly just click your listings, click one button, and then, edit it to the actual policy you want. It'll automatically add them to all of them at one single time. You only got to do it once. You can change any type of shipping setting you have in all of your items pretty much immediately. Your payment ones, I got one payment for everything we get, so I never mess with that. The returns is all the same, and you can set up the return policies through business policy. You can set it up so you can split it up so U.S. is one way and foreign is another. So you're not worried about. Again, I don't give free returns on overseas items. We're still top rated plus, I think, in every geographical area you can be on eBay U.S. Because we sell enough in those countries. I've been having some issues with Italy for those who do send overseas. I sent another one out today, so we'll see what happens. But I had some toy issues. You can't ship wooden toys to Italy at all. And I read the whole thing, the import-export, and I read the regulations and the reasoning and all that stuff. And I couldn't find, they wouldn't let me send a couple Migos. I had two Migos, and one of them was Bo Duke, I think is the first one. One I didn't get back. I should get my money back, but the other one was sent back. It never even made it to the destination. It was stopped in the EU. And again, I can't find any law that states I couldn't sell that because it was some kind of wood-boring beetle or something they were worried about. And they stopped the import of all wooden toys to Italy. It's a paper item I just sent out, so we'll see. It was actually YMCA building in New York from 1910. It was a postcard, and the person spent twice what it cost to have it sent first class international through me. I think the VAT was already included in there too, but let's see here. Have you ever tried eBid? No, I haven't. I checked their traffic, their site traffic, and their bounce rate, and I didn't like either one, and I didn't want to invest more time into it. If you're enjoying the conversation, please slam that thumbs up there. We've got 236 people in house. I got 75 thumbs up. Show some love if you're enjoying the conversation. I've had people tell me to try eCrater and eBid and all these other ones. I just look at what's trending name-wise. I look at their bounce rate. How bounce rate is important. Like I had a video on Patreon and I brought up bounce rate in there because I showed you some numbers. That's one of the key factors. There's places that have niches that their bounce rate is twice as good as eBay's. Not to pick on eBay, there's the same thing with Amazon. There's niche sites that may not be as big as what Amazon sells, but they're more designated towards one specific type of thing that you'll get more ground leverage in those smaller sites sometimes. You'll sell more, you'll do better, because everybody there is looking for what you have, which is the key on that one. That's my take on it. I do far better sometimes on the smaller sites on some things. Matt Jake remembers the HTML days. Yep. Where are we at here? Relentless Reseller, how you doing? Good evening, good evening. Hey, Annie, another YouTuber as well. She's got a real good channel as well. I've watched many of her videos. Hopefully you're doing well. Those in Patreon too, I'll have a post for another chat inviting 5 more people on. I'll have that posted up soon. You have to have been a member of my Patreon for 4 months to be eligible. There's one person that's going to probably, I think Travis will be on again just because he kind of got the short end of the stick, but there will still be 4 spots. It's going to be the first or second week in March. We're going to do another round table. So for those interested, I will post it up probably at the beginning of the week, but maybe this Sunday, I think. It depends on how much time. Sunday's usually my artwork day, and I do have a lot of projects. The wife's got a children's book that we were working on, and I promised her I would get some illustrations done for her. David, I didn't forget. Yeah, I've been dealing with a lot of their stuff going on here. Wife's got an appointment for something, so we've been a little bit under and behind. Being sick, I've had to make up rounds and pick up from my pickers and stuff. I will have that one. I'm going to cover the Ink Frog Self Similar thing. Is the first thing that's coming out. I did make a comment on today's video in the description on Patreon. I'm going to cover that. It'll probably be, you'll see the last part of the 3-part series I got running now, and then it'll be the next one, should be Ink Frog. So probably a week from today at the latest, I'll get the Ink Frog issues. I'll tell you exactly what we'll be doing in the whole works, and you can judge it from that aspect of it. I just cursory got into it again. We've been trying to, I've got a lot of stuff going on. We're down employee-wise, to be honest, because of college. Both my kids are full-time, and most everybody else that we have working here is, one of the other guys is studying to be at the airport to be he's always wanted to do flight and plane repairs and engines and stuff. He loves all that stuff. So anyway, it's been one of those days. I was trying to hire 2 people this week. Well, thank you very kindly, Stardust Memories. I appreciate that. Hiya back at you. The little fox. In fact, fox was brought up in foxes were brought up in the Patreon video. It's kind of coincidental there. Thank you very kindly again for that. Hey, William Curtin, how are you doing? Good evening, good evening. Again, a week from today, I hope, David. Thanks, Candace. Amazon return auctions. Oh, I don't think I would ever do Amazon return auctions. I've seen the pallets in person. I've seen what comes in them, and man, it's hit or miss. You would almost have better luck doing like a bulk, And I know people say, hey, they're this, they're that. My experience wasn't like that, and they honored what they said. I looked it up. We did extremely well with the couple we did get, but I was very selective. If it went over what I wanted, I wasn't going to buy it. I wanted to get something, and again, it was a product that you didn't have to be gated, but it was it was a pesticide. It was what is it? The flea stuff. It was animal flea stuff, and they were all gone. It was all sold by us. But anyway, you got to be careful with those. Nevermore Sales. Good evening. Glad to have you in as well. What is your favorite merch supplier? Wholesale is probably the best. Having your own product is even better than that. We've got, I don't know how many products in the works right now. If you can make something and market it yourself, you don't have to worry about sourcing it. In Patreon video, again, this goes back to today's Patreon video. If you don't have to have investment in it, the passive income is always the best for me. I would rather create or buy wholesale in a category I know will always sell. I would rather give up I would rather make less per item in a wholesale deal than worrying about trying to get top dollar out of like one-offs and stuff. Let's put it that way. The wholesale deal, let's say I can buy 2,500 units. My profit margin's $12 per unit. It's something that might take 4 months to sell. You can equate, your costs into it. You can kind of figure out when's your break-even point, when you're going to make a profit. If you do it right and it's a high-ranked item on Amazon, even if somebody undercuts you for a month or something, they're going to sell out. You'll keep going, especially if it's an item that sells all the time. It's always in the top. I don't know, office supplies or something, for an example. Light bulbs, for crying out loud. There's spices that you can do that with. Obviously, your margins are much lower than $12, but you can do it with anything. If you do FBA and you're sending it all in, you're giving up more of it, but you don't have to do anything once it's sent in. In some cases, I would rather send in 2,500 units, just a pallet shipment from the wholesaler, do a 30-day bill of lading where I don't have to pay them for that merchandise for 30 days. So it can be shipped, delivered to Amazon, up for sale in, 7 days at the most usually. You still got 21 more days before the bills due, so you haven't even paid for it, and you're already selling it on day 8, 9, or 10, hopefully, depending on how quickly Amazon breaks it down and puts it in active inventory. So that's actually probably the best bet. But again, I like creating, I like doing stuff. So if I could do toys and just create toys, I would do that as well too, as a full time, and kind of maybe even split the business a little bit and try and have one stream that's constantly doing reselling versus the other. We've got different businesses that we run. I've got DBAs and stuff too that we've registered with the state for the different aspects of business. Hopefully that makes sense. Veteran Mercantile. Vintage Pretties, huh? I'm not fancy on Amazon returns, honestly. I just seen so much garbage come through there. And you're competing with other people doing the exact same thing. A lot of it has to go on eBay because you can't go back and sell it, or it's a gated product for you. So you're limited in a lot of it. And I've seen where you might make, $500 off of a pallet. And to me, the amount of work you put in to make $500 is a lot. I can make $500 off of one item here with paper or something. I've just never seen the results. What I see is like broken Brita stuff, or a hair dryer that might sell for 50 NOS unopened that you now got to sell for an open unit for $25. When you equate in your time and everything, you might make $2. It's just not worth it. Some people make good on it. They know exactly who to buy the best stuff from, but I don't get that luck. I don't buy enough. There's a couple videos from a while ago that somebody showed me where somebody bought like 10 pallets of Amazon returns, and they ran a garage sale and this kind of stuff and just let the people buy it that way. And I don't want to do that either. I don't want a bunch of people running around that who knows. I wouldn't do that. Just not my thing, I guess. Nothing wrong if it works for you. Whatever works for you. It's different for every person. Every business, some aspect of it's going to be different no matter what. Are you a collector? Good evening. Welcome back in here. Thanks for coming on as well. I appreciate that. Hang on. Let me get back over to the feed. Darius Donderies. Yeah, I'm questioning on that too. I think a lot are going to be scared off. They might have stayed through fourth quarter, but they'll quit January 1st because they don't want to have to worry about paying taxes, I guess. I know a lot of people were angry about the $600 threshold for them to send it out. Now, you always had to pay that amount. That's not a tax thing. That's just who has to report what thing. You've always had to pay taxes if you made over a certain amount. And it used to be like $500 or $600. I think if you made more than that, you had to report it. If you didn't make that much, you didn't have to report it. It was considered a hobby. Now, nothing's a hobby if you're doing it and making a profit, especially if you're making it as a profit. Now, if you reinvest that back in the hobby, there's some stipulations and stuff like that. Hello on Keystone State in the house. Welcome, welcome. My sales have been quite slow this week, though. A couple more dollar things sold. Sorry to hear that, Annie. So again, we've had overall, if I look at my monthly and my projections, they're right up where they should be. They're right at fourth quarter numbers. Like I've had October 28th. After October 28th, the sales have been pretty much fourth quarter rocked all the way up until right this very second. I might have a day down here, a day down there, but I've looked like we had 2 bad days, and then right back up to normal. And then out of nowhere, I had like a $1,400 overnight sale day. It was in the 8 hours that I closed down everything, went home, went to bed, get back up, back to the office, and there was $1,400 sold in that time, which made up for the loss we had from a day or two. So again, I don't worry about the daily total. I look at my projections. Does it say at the end of the month, even with the sales as of right this second, am I going to be up or am I going to be down, or I am just flatlined across? If I'm flat or up, I'm okay, because who knows? If I'm going down, again, that's why I said run a sale or something. Figure out what's going on. If you're looking at your numbers and you're looking at which categories, let's say you sell in 25 different categories, and all of a sudden your sales start to tank down there. Which categories are they tanked in? Do you have any categories that are still riding high and you're still getting sales in? Those are the categories I would bomb, because for some reason those categories are hot if they're still getting sales, and you've got a bunch of other categories that are not. Only run the sales and markdown too to drum up some opportunity to send out offers to watchers. on the categories that aren't getting the sales. If you got one that's flying off and you aren't doing anything special, but it's still going, full steam ahead, it's hot. List some more of those. Don't touch it. Don't put it on sale, but put the ones that aren't getting you revenue in. Again, we run sales now all the time. Almost always, there might be a gap of an hour or two, but overall, there's always a sale going for 2 or 3 days. No more than 3 days ever these days. When one ends, I might take a few moments to mess around with a few listings, maybe fix a few photos or something, double check and title. Instantly go ahead and sell similar. Once the sell similar is done, they're all going on sales and markdown. I run them all the time. Again, I price high. I got a 3x pricing, so that way I've got room to play around it. I can run sales all the time. Even if I run a sale with my pricing structure, I can still accept an offer, and they can counter back too. I do counter back, so they're allowed. I don't block them unless it's like a real low dollar, under $9.99. I'm not going to accept a counter back, and there's a couple people I probably would, but overall I wouldn't. Let's see where we're at. TCAT. I'm not starting a new selling platform, but I do have something. I do have something in the works. I'll just say that, and I'm not going to say any more because I'm not to any point to. I've been having discussions all week, and I've got some going on through next week here and there too. But I want to get some consensus here on some things. Stardust memory sales very slow here. I can't. It depends on what you're selling. Would be my best guess. I know the self-similar and running sales does help for a lot of people. A lot of people. The majority of the people who've reached out to me and I've talked to, especially, I've got quite a few in Patreon that, I hear it constantly. Self-similar keeps working. Running the small 2-3 day sales works. Checking your listings at the same time. The only other thing I would say if you're still not getting sales and you're doing all that is to, raise the price of items in bulk, 50 cents up 1 month, 50 cents down the next month, $1 up, $1 down, 5 up, 5 down. That's about what I would recommend doing because it changes the foundation of that listing. One aspect. Your listing, it's the price, the photo, and the title. Those are the three things that create the basics of the listing. And if you change one of those, eBay goes ahead and has to do something with it. So I think that's where that comes into play. Our RV Butterfly, they're saying slow. Blend Right saying slow. The only bad part about just a $1,000 item selling, yeah, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but it artificially raises the price. If you're only selling $25 items, and you were down a bunch, and that puts you up a couple hundred, it might throw you off next year, I guess. I'll take it any day of the week. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather just have all $1,000 items, or kind of just be flush with $50 items, I guess. You take what you can get. I love having $1,000 items, but I always have to make a note so I know why the sales were up that day. But good for you. Glad to hear that. Linda's an AZ, huh? Sales have been okay. Kelly, 207 Surf Dude. Been sending out offers to watchers multiple. I send out offers to watchers all the time. It's the last thing I do every night. Come on. If I've got my phone up there, which I usually don't take it anywhere, I just plug it in at the end of the night. But sometimes if I'm being lazy, I might take it and send out offers from my phone. It's about the only thing, as I said, I do that and look up prices. I don't like the app for much else other than that. Darius, I had a terrible week, just one sale, yet I haven't listed much. Could be related or just coincidental. If you list more items and they're good items, you're going to sell some of those new items. So I would just list whenever you're able to. Far too many people enjoy the sourcing aspect of it, but when it comes to listing, they'll procrastinate and just let stuff build up, and then they don't get stuff up. They'll have too much money at some point locked up in stuff they're buying, and they're not listing enough. I only try to buy two when it's cheaper. So right now, I wouldn't be buying if you didn't have to, if it was me. I buy only when I need to, like from a picker, so they don't go somewhere else. It's just a necessity, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately sometimes, but you get a lot of merchandise in. You got to list stuff. If you're not listing and you're just constantly buying, you're going to eventually, you could screw yourself over and not have a viable business. You have to just stop buying and hope you can list enough to cover. If you have some kind of emergency on your end and you need to sink some money into it, you'd have to be listing. I mean, if you get sick, God forbid somebody gets sick or something. If you're a one person operation, or even if it's a couple and you both get sick, which could happen. We all got sick here all at the same time. Wasn't much fun, but I mean, stuff happens. Be prepared and be ready for it would be my take on it. But list more, you're going to sell more. There's no doubt about that. That's not an eBay thing specifically. If I list more on any other platform, I sell more on those other platforms. The more you put up, the more new stuff, the more interesting stuff, it's going to show up as, this was just listed, this was just listed. That would be my take on it. What's expected to be, I'm busy through first quarter, pretty much entire first quarter. I have fourth quarter numbers, literally. And then summertime, my summertime doesn't dip very much at all. I just run more sales in the summer. That's usually what I have to do. Like right now, the highest sale I'm running is a 25% off. I've got a 3x pricing, so at 25% off, if it sells that way, fine. I'm trying to get, when I run sales too, I'm not worried about them buying it at the sale price. Yeah, I'd love it if they bought it at the sale price or the full price, but I want the offers to watchers option. So when I run the sales, my amount of offers to watchers I can send out, sometimes tripled, quadrupled, 5x, 10x even in some cases on some items. It just goes through the roof, especially if I'm selling similar, because they're new items on the site to anybody that's just happened to be on at that point, because I did sell similar, new listing, and also they're on sale too. It does work. It does work. It causes like interest. Hey, I want to get it before somebody else does mentality. That's what I always look for. I can't. It depends on what you're selling as to what you would expect too. Would be my personal opinion. I don't sell households hardly at all anymore. I don't sell, yard supplies or PC parts or video games or any of that stuff. I'll sell vintage video games. Don't get me wrong. I had a couple of Ataris here now, but I don't mess with all the new stuff. I don't mess with clothing or books anymore hardly, unless they're vintage collectibles. If I get lucky and get a huge lot, I'm not going to go out of my way to get it though. If I walk up on one, I'd probably buy, some nice books assortments. I can just throw them up. I can, scan them. I don't even have to take a picture of those and just pop them up on Amazon or something. You can do it on eBay almost as well. How to send offers to watchers? Is that what you're saying? Again, they'll pop up in your hub. You'll get to see it that way. Hang on, I just lost my feed. Hang on. Try to get to everybody. Where are we at? Okay, I think I'm almost there. AZ Blend, right. Okay, there we go. Barbarian Kung Fu, how are you doing? Good to have you in the house too. Hey Joe, how you doing, Joe? Afternoon wherever you may be. So you are out on the West Coast. I do sell on Amazon and eBay, yes. PT, how are you doing? The Northwoods Picker, good evening. Atlas Attic, I've been really slow these past months. Today I actually got a few sales. I would look at what your items that you're actually selling, if anybody is having the issues. You don't sell the right items, there's not going to be people on them. Or you could be selling in a flooded category, and if you're not promoting in a flooded, like clothing. I think you have to promote. I think you have to do free shipping in clothing for the most part. We did clothing, and if we didn't do promoted or do something, even back then, you didn't get as much leverage because everybody was selling clothing, and the amount of profit we get from it was too low for us. So you got to watch out for that. And in some cases, when I look at like a store, I do store reviews in Patreon. If I do a store review, most of the time, most of the folks who haven't been on for more than a year or two, you'll see, and I did the same mistake, so I'm not trying to criticize anybody, but you'll list things that aren't worth listing on their own. So you might have hundreds of listings, but half of them might be listings that should have been better to list in like a small lot of the same items instead of trying to piece everyone out. I had to learn what's worth listing individually and what's worth doing as a long tail versus you'll never sell it kind of things. And a lot of people haven't got that aspect of it in my book. Hey, Jackass Retro, how you doing this evening? Good to see you in as well. I'm afraid of getting back onto eBay after deleting all my listings last Christmas due to vacation. I lost my top seller status, and I'm afraid of bad buyers or lost mail. It's always a possibility. I mean, I'm not going to give up eBay until it's until they're bearing it, because it's revenue. It's a business decision. Personally wise, I would rather not deal with the idiots running it, but my business aspect, if I'm making money, I'm not going to cut off my revenue. It's just not what you do. I've put up with, bad actors in the field. I've worked for some terrible bosses, but I wanted the money. If, again, my morality says that the right thing to do is to just bite the bullet, put up with it while you have to, and slowly figure out what you can do to get out of that situation. That's my take on it. Just because I'm still on there doesn't mean I'm not working on things to, at some point, change that aspect of it. I'd give it a shot if you enjoyed doing it, would be my personal recommendations. Hey, Judy. I spent 10 years in Florida. Worked at the Big Mouse for quite some time, a whole decade. Hey, Matt, how are you doing? How many times do you need before you can start accurate estimates? I'm not sure what you're meaning. Are you talking about accurate estimates on how much you're going to sell? Or are you talking about projections? If you're talking about like monthly projections, you're just projecting your what you'll be at the end of the month based on your sales at any given point. Basically, you add up the sales and how many days were in those sales. That gives you a number. You multiply it times how many days are in the month, and that'll give you your running total on where you stand at any given minute of the day. You figured out based on days of the month and how much you've sold. In fact, I've got videos up here. If you want to get an estimate on how much you're going to sell based on your amount of listings up, that's almost impossible because everybody's store is different. I know what I get on average from my store. I could literally almost set my clock to the amount of revenue we get at any given point. And I'm not being funny. That's truthful. I literally, it's almost the same. As long as I'm doing the same thing, I'm just feeding the machine. My numbers stay up. I should be increasing, 3 to 5%, month over month. If that's still going on, I'm happy, I'm fine, and things keep rolling on. The more I feed it, the more my numbers go up. So if I list extra 400 listings in a month or 500, whatever I happen to be lucky enough to get up, my increase in sales is based on a percentage of how many of those new listings I got up, and how many sold, I guess the point is. So you can set your clock to it. If I need extra money, I list new stuff, a bunch more stuff. I stop doing something else, and I'll list a whole mess of listings, get a couple thousand up in a week or whatever I'm able to do, and I'll have a bunch more revenue coming in from those. Depends on what you're selling, though. I can't say you're going to sell so much if you've got, say, 10,000. When I hit 10,000, my sales started to drastically improve. But again, that's been years ago. I don't know if you'd get the same results when you go from 5,000 listings to 10,000 listings, if that's your question on that, Matt. I couldn't tell you. I haven't had to go through that step in that long. It's been so long. We've had 30,000 or better listings for I don't know how long. I've got kids working right now for us right this minute. They're listing and sorting and pricing and stuff right now. There'll be somebody working to at least 10 tonight here. So I don't know. I can't give you an estimate on that. I can just tell you what happened for us, which was 10,000. Things started to change. 20,000, they were even better. 25, even better. The more I get up, the more sales I'm going to have. Again, if you're enjoying the conversation, please hit that thumbs up. I got 262 people on my end, 140 thumbs up. Again, I'm trying to give you the best I can here. This is how I've my personal experiences with it. Where are we at? Hey, you two, J&J, how you two doing? I was just thinking about you. I was trying to plan another flea market day, and I'll have to drop you a note. I don't have a pen when I need one. Hang on. Let's see if this one will work. Yeah, I was literally just I wrote down because somebody was asking. The thing doesn't work, does it? I'm sorry, hang on just a second. I always remember to write it down. If I don't, I won't. Okay. I'll have to hit you up and see about when the next one is if you two are interested again. Yeah, time is precious these days. I understand. Never hold it against anybody, so no worries. Good to see you two in, though. Hopefully you two are doing well also. Atlas Attic, I do my sales Friday to Monday. Yeah, that's usually what I do. Annie, I got a negative feedback that just says they didn't receive the item. Tracking says they did. They didn't contact me. eBay won't remove it. I would keep bugging them, because if it says they got it, they're not supposed to be able to leave a comment that says they didn't get it if you can prove that they got it. They should have opened up a case if they said, and of course you would win that case as well too. If you offer 30-day free returns, they should remove that. I would bug them on that. I would call my rep and say that's not right. I would pull up what the user agreement states and stuff like that too. That's contradictory. It's a lie. You can prove they're being dishonest because you can prove it says it was delivered. And if they're saying it wasn't delivered and they opened up a case, eBay would close that case in your behalf because the tracking showed it was delivered. I've had them close them. So that would mean if they close it in their behalf, they would have to remove the feedback too. And that would be the route I would go, Annie. I would argue with them. I would be honest and sincere, and I would wait to get a call. I would do it personally on the phone, what I would do. That would be my personal take on that one. I wouldn't let that one go. Matt's been shipping at least 20 items a day the past week. Very good, very good. Yeah, I don't mess with eBay for Business because the minute you do that, they tell you don't share information. Then last time eBay sent a link and wanted me to go to some strange link I'd never seen. It wasn't an eBay. It didn't have eBay anywhere in the link description or anything, so I didn't trust it. I'm done with the eBay for Business on Facebook. Atlas Attic, Annie, it happened to them, and eBay did fix it. Yeah, you just talk to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. That would be my take. I was also not liking my listings not showing up. Any suggestions? I sell my inherited old jewelry, old wood toys, vintage Xmas cards from inheritance. Not showing up. Where are you looking, I guess, would be the first question, where you're saying they're not showing up. Do you sell similar if you've had a lot of items up? Are you running sales and markdown? Make sure your prices are able to handle something like that too. Make sure they're identified right. Make sure your pictures are good. You could sell the same thing as somebody else and have a bad picture and maybe sell it for 1/10 of what somebody else would with a good picture and a good title. That's all it takes these days. You've got to draw attention. You've got to identify it correctly. You've got to title it, keyword the heck out of it. Make sure your prices are within range in some categories. The photos, man, mean a lot. That's why the zoom-ins, for me, I'm sure the zoom-ins get me 20-25% increase over listings that don't do zoom-ins. I would say for sure because it fills up the screen. The images are uniform. They draw people in. You know, it works. I've done it. I tested it. We tested it for a long time. My competitors did it. I followed what they did, and sure enough, I feel like it does give me a good boost doing that as well. Yeah, if you sell the right things, you're going to get the sales constantly. That's the best I can tell you. Hey, Steve PB, how are you doing? Swamp Picker, thank you. Good to see you in-house as well. Hey, Crystal, how you doing, Crystal? Waltzing with Crystals? Yeah, I would definitely bug them, as I said. Send them a screenshot of the delivery. Yeah, you could do that too. That one should be a no-brainer because that one almost word for word would violate the user agreement. If they would close the case in your behalf, that would mean that they can't leave feedback that would be derogatory to what actually happened. You know, if they didn't open up a case, it just seems suspicious to me as well, too. Let's see here. Yeah, Marty's saying the same thing. Jiminy Flip It. Again, he's got YouTube, as does Annie. Yeah, they would have to remove that with me. I wouldn't take no for an answer. I'd be very irate about it if they wouldn't. Hey, Nancy, how you doing, Nancy? Good to see you in house as well. Again, Patreon. I'm going to end it in just a few minutes here. My throat's still kind of sore from COVID and all that stuff, but still got 252 people in house, 175 thumbs up. So again, if you're enjoying it, please hit that thumbs up. 5-Day Flipper, how are you doing? I hate the rant videos because I always take hate whenever I do those, honestly. I voice my opinion and people think that I shouldn't be complaining because I make money off there. I'm going to say it like it is. You know, I'm not, they're nothing special. Yeah, I make money on the site. Wouldn't kill me if I didn't sell on eBay anymore. But again, they should be doing the right thing so no one would have an issue. If they did the right thing and looked out for people, they would have more people on the site, more people would list more items, and you'd have more buyers. But when you start pushing off buyers, or pushing off the sellers, they also buy on the site. They bring people to the site. The people who drop off, if they sell stuff on other platforms to go somewhere else, they're probably taking a bunch of those buyers with them. Any smart person would have already sent notice, hey, you can get it here if I'm not on eBay. Go straight to my site. I'll give you discounts. I'll do this. I'll do that. That's what they're doing. You know, that's why there's less merchandise sold on the platform. Oh, let's see here. Woman on the phone here's Annie saw the tracking, the feedback. She said I had to use the remove feedback button, which I did, and that eBay bot dissed me. I'll call more. Yeah, I would call and say it's just a robot. It didn't do anything. That's not right. I want to say with the top-rated seller, they remove those automatically, though. If you're a top-rated seller, if you're not, let me know, Annie, because maybe that's what somebody told me once before, too, I want to say. We're going to let it go at that. I'm already at the 20 past one. I'll just hit this Paul the Picker. I'm in California. Where'd you source? Whittier area. We went from there. We were in Los Angeles city proper, I guess you'd say. We went through that area. I didn't go down to San Francisco or anything, but that's about the area we flew into. I had a friend who worked in the movies. He was doing some stuff with ILM back in those days. He went to the film school my son's in, actually, right now, so hopefully my son enjoys it. My son's just now getting to use the Bolo Flex cameras, and they're doing a film, 16 millimeter film for Film 1 class. He's all excited. Let's see here. I'm going to let it go there. I've been to Oakland too, Darren. I was out that way too. In fact, I bought some animation slides, a massive assortment of animation slides from California. I had them shipped in. It cost some money to ship, but it was well worth it. I'm going to let it go because my throat is bothering me right now, but I do appreciate everybody coming on. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please hit that thumbs up. Again, there'll be some more relevant videos coming out. For those in Patreon, I think I'll get the last part of the good one that's up today out this weekend, I would hope. Again, watch it. If you want to see something new that I don't talk about anywhere else, that video covers something you'll be surprised. It's something I've been messing with for a few years. I don't really talk about it too much, but it's going a little better with the stuff. I've put my time in, so I'm going to start doing some videos on some of the other stuff that we do these days as well, too. But I thank everybody for coming on. I appreciate the support, the love, and the thumbs up. And off we go for the evening. Have a good night.